Welcome to the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast. We are the home of the best wrestling banter and interviews. And remember, you can
follow the Buzzards
on Twitter at the Buzzards Pod. We're also on Facebook. Just search for the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast. Now, every episode we have a special focus on the British wrestling scene and one promotion that's dominating it at the moment. It's come out of nowhere like an RKO. It's WhatCulture Pro Wrestling. And so this episode is a WhatCulture and WCPW special. We've got two very special guests to bring you today. Joe Hendry, the local hero, who will be taking on Kurt Angle at WCPW's first ever iPPV Refuse to Lose on the 6th of October. But first of all, I thought I'd get out and about for once to speak to our first guest. So, with a bit of Bray Wyatt style magic, I have in fact come to Newcastle, the home of, well, arguably the hottest wrestling promotion in the UK at the moment, I think. And you'll notice as well that I've not with the usual stable of guys. I've come up on my own to Newcastle, but I'm delighted to say I am with WhatCulture.com's very own Adam Blompier.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. As I say, I was coming up to Newcastle and I thought, well, why not? Because I am genuinely fascinated with the rise of WhatCulture.com and the WWE section and, of course, WCPW. I mean, are you surprised by the whole whirlwind ride?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by it, to be honest. It's been incredibly weird and unpredictable. I think that's sort of the thing with YouTube. You don't know why I have no idea why people are watching. We're just trying to make the stuff that people seem to enjoy. I joined the company about just over a year and a bit now, but in April, as a freelancer guy, and I just did doing a couple of videos for them, a few articles. One of our videos really took off, and then another one really took off, and then it seemed like most of our videos were going viral, and then we just got these subscribers, and then the bosses, took us to WrestleMania, which I thought, wow, this is the peak, right? Yeah. This is how it's gonna go. We're gonna plateau out. We're gonna just enjoy being up at WrestleMania. This is awesome. What a job. And then after WrestleMania, they told me, so we're gonna make our own wrestling promotion. To which I immediately thought that was a joke. But 3 months later, WCPW, we had our first show. Now we're about 3 months into that. We had the man formerly known as Alberto Del Rio on the most recent show. We've had Eric Bischoff. We've had the man formerly known as Damien Sandow, Aaron Stevens. We've got JR and Jim Cornette coming on October 6th that Refuse to Lose. I don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. I see no rhyme and reason behind YouTube's success. We're just very, very happy that people are watching, and we'll just try and keep this success going. Yeah. If you can guarantee success continuing on YouTube.
I mean, you've got to enjoy it while it lasts, and it looks like it's lasting. I mean, as I say, I've been a fan of WhatCulture.com for a while now, watching the articles and the videos and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, at what point was it where you went, bloody hell, this is, it's not just a UK thing and just a bunch of wrestling fans, because that's what it boils down to. It's just a bunch of wrestling fans, which is the same as our podcast, but you are now worldwide. You've got signs at WWE events and all that sort of stuff.
That was the first sign, really. Seeing fan-made signs on the hard cam of WWE shows, that was like, oh, okay, we're doing something here. Because our first popular video, 10 things WWE want you to forget about The Undertaker. Those kind of titles and stuff. But people really enjoy the lists we do. I think what's really nice is that even though we do focus primarily on lists and stuff, because wrestling is so dense with facts and figures and stuff, that we found that people watching a lot of the lists have been getting into wrestling again. I think the best comments we get on Twitter are the ones where people say, you got me back into wrestling, because that's great, because we love wrestling, the fans love wrestling, and we just, as much as we probe sometimes the bad side of wrestling, because that's where a lot of the entertaining stuff is, the gobbledygooker, for example. We ultimately are huge fans, and if we can make more people watch wrestling, then we've done a great job. And we first started to think, wow, we're getting on something global here when Twitter.
Was it when you become, you have more subscribers than TNA Impact Wrestling?
Yeah, that was a sign. It was like earlier than that though. Like we did like a live stream, just for a random episode of Raw in November, like the one after Survivor Series, because we just thought, well, we're just gonna try this out, and we got like tens of thousands of people watching us, which is crazy. And then we just we asked the camera, hey, where are people watching from? And then just like in the comments, just like every country in the world, everywhere, like in Europe, Africa, Australia, Russia, like everywhere was represented. And that was just like, wow, YouTube is a total global thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not claiming with our podcast that we're anywhere near that level at all, but we're only five episodes in, I have to admit. But it is amazing when you look at the figures. We're on audioboom.com and on iTunes, and you look at it and it tells you where people have listened to the podcast: California, Russia, Turkey, and you're like, why are people in this part of the world interested in what we've got to say? And I don't know, do you ever think this is crazy? We're just, as I say, a bunch of wrestling fans. We're up in Newcastle, and because I love as well, when you do the live reviews of the pay-per-views, I watch the Backlash, and it's just 4 or 5 guys, however many, sitting there enjoying it and marking out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, it's really humbling that people want to see just a bunch of fans talk about wrestling, because we're certainly, we're not in the business at all. We love wrestling. We've watched a lot of it. But ultimately we are just fans. Now we have people who are inside the industry working on WCPW, because we wouldn't be able to get that off the ground if we didn't. But yeah, like you talk about the reviews that we do, and like my booking videos and stuff, they're only from fan perspectives, and it's humbling when people on Twitter and stuff like talk to us like we have any influence. Just be like, wow, Carl, why aren't WWE hiring you guys? And it's just like, well, probably because they hate us, because we're talking smack about their products all the time. But like people generally seem to think that we have some. I think they think we've got a lot more authority than we do, and as long as we're entertaining people, that's amazing. But yeah, it's humbling that people care what a bunch of smarky fans think about Backlash, for example.
Where did it start for you, wrestling? What got you into it?
It was VHSs being circulated around my school. I was quite a late comer to wrestling. Like lots of people kind of started in the Hulk Hogan years. I started about in the middle of the Attitude Era. 2000 was when I first started watching. I stayed up and watched my first live pay-per-view was No Mercy 2000 with Stone Cold almost murdering Rikishi with a car.
He did it for The Rock.
He did it for The Rock. I watched them all from that point on. But yeah, the first one I've watched, and I've talked about it on the channel a fair bit, which was Cactus Jack versus Triple H Royal Rumble. Some kid, we were doing like show and tell, and some kid brought that match in on a VHS. I don't know why the teachers let us watch it. Because the dude landed on thumbtacks, and maybe they thought, oh, wrestling's fake, that couldn't have possibly have been real. So I, from that point, I was hooked, and like one of the kids was selling like a big bunch of VHSs, and on that was like Backlash 2000, Unforgiven 2000, WrestleMania 2000. But I didn't know any better. Like, I loved the invasion when it happened. I thought, my God, this is the best thing that's ever happened, because I didn't know WCW. I thought, my God, these are the top stars of WCW.
Yeah. I was probably the same. I've watched plenty of WCW since on the network and but I wasn't watching it at the time. So yeah, the invasion for me was like, I didn't realise that I knew about the names of the Goldberg and Sting and the top guys and all that, but I didn't realise that they were completely missing them. I still thought it was a cool idea, but obviously they tanked it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think I didn't even know like the top guys, because I was watching it just by myself, because I was the only wrestling fan I really knew. Like this other kid at school was selling his VHSs because wrestling had started to just become uncool at that point. For our age, like I was getting on to be 13, 14, and that was sort of the point where you drop off a little bit. Not so much like a couple of people watching ECW; those were the cool kids. I was watching, WWE, and Invasion was just like. I didn't know any better. Like I thought, why wouldn't Stephanie McMahon lead the ECW brand of the Invasion? Of course she does. Look, she's got a little ECW, beret on. Great. Why wouldn't Shane McMahon be leading WCW? I didn't know who Eric Bischoff was. No. So it's being a fan now and having the network and going back and like watching all the old stuff. Makes you feel like, wow, so many gaps in my knowledge at that point. But that's the thing about wrestling. Getting into wrestling is like getting into comic books. There's such a huge amount of lore and mythology and so much to know that it's kind of daunting, I think, to like new fans. Which is, like I said, if we could provide one thing, a kind of refresher course on WWE history, lots of little WWE historical facts that kind of fill in a general kind of landscape of WWE past. If our lists can do that, then and make it easier for a fan to get back into wrestling or just get in wrestling in general, then great.
Yeah, I say it's interesting for me. You mentioned the Hulk Hogan era and that. Yeah, that was initially mine, but then I was one of those that fell off. I think the first WrestleMania I remember watching was 8 or 9. 9.
If it was 9, then bad luck.
Yeah, the one in Vegas, wasn't it?
With Jim Ross in a toga.
Yeah.
He's
not going to turn up in a toga at your event, is he?
Like, he'll wear what we want him to wear. We're paying him the big bucks. We'll have him come in on a camel backwards, like Bobby Heenan. Obviously, my first WrestleMania was 17, and I thought,
that's not a bad one, is it?
No, I thought, wow, they're all going to be like this.
Yeah. Do you think that's still up there with one of the best, isn't it?
I think it's probably still the best. Not only because it was my first one, like I had it, I recorded it onto a tape because I couldn't stay up that late, and I've probably rewatched that tape about 15 times. Like in just like the year it came out, I just kept going home and just kept watching it, the whole thing. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And yeah, it's definitely up there. I think 19's really good, 30's really, really good. Yeah. What about yourself? What's your favourite?
I think 17 is definitely, like you said, up there. Out of the recent ones, 30 was good with Daniel Bryan and obviously the Undertaker streak being broken. 31.
Yeah, 31 was great.
That was Seth Rollins' cash-in, wasn't it?
That was Seth Rollins' cash-in.
Pretty good. It's funny, like, because was the most recent WrestleMania your first one that you went to live?
Yeah, that was my first live attended one, and this most recent one, my first live attended SummerSlam as well.
Yeah, I mean, Airdo's on our podcast. He's a regular guy who features on our podcast. He went to the one in Miami, which was Triple H Undertaker Hell in the Cell, I think was that one, and John Cena The Rock. Yes. He went to 30. And he went to 32 as well. And he says out of the lot, the 32 was his least favourite, perhaps because it was too long. Obviously, Roman Reigns Triple H main event. Yeah. He said, I don't know if you got this opinion, but he's still claiming on our last podcast that they were piping in fake cheers in the main event. That was his. I don't know.
What in the arena itself?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear those, but I was checking Twitter and people saying at home like, is it, are the boos loud for you guys watching at home? And people are like, no, they've softened the boos a little bit, taken the audio out of the crowd.
Yeah, watching at home, it felt like they'd turned up the ring mic, so you could hear every thud of the mat. You could hear that louder than the fans.
Yeah, basically. I think they're kind of listening to the fans now, which is I think if you told me, after WrestleMania 32, that just after SummerSlam, the champions in WWE would be Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, and AJ Styles, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's the situation we're at now. So, despite all the kind of grumblings from WrestleMania 32, I feel like this does feel a bit like a new era now. They've got the right guys on top.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I think it is that sort of time shift of things are changing. It's not all about the image anymore and that sort of thing. In terms of the WrestleManias, I've been to one WrestleMania live. It was WrestleMania 29, which not the greatest.
No.
It's one of those things that I kind of like, because it's always on the bucket list, I think, of a wrestling fan. And if anyone's listening, go to one.
Yeah, even 32 was amazing to watch in the stadium. My God, like The Rock coming out with a flamethrower. The opening, the Intercontinental ladder match, like this kind of stuff, and just that feeling, like it does feel like all the fans are there together. It feels like this huge fan convention, like you're meeting up with people. Of course, we were there and like meeting fans, which was amazing. Go also, if you haven't been to a WrestleMania, go definitely.
Yeah, WrestleMania 29, it wasn't the best, but I try and cling on to the thing of CM Punk Undertaker, so I likely saw CM Punk's last WrestleMania match. You never know. I don't know whether he'll be back. I don't know what you think to that.
I think, I went to an interview with Paul Heyman, run by Inside the Ropes, who are a company that work with WhatCulture sometimes, and he said he's absolutely sure that CM Punk will wrestle again, but he's also absolutely sure that it won't be for WWE.
Would you like to get him across for WCPW?
We would jump at the chance. Yes,
Yeah.
I think we can do. I think we can find a place for him. CM Punk was, and he will forever be one of my favorite superstars. Yeah. He's absolutely incredible. Generally one of the most charismatic superstars of the last few decades. And if I hope. I hope to see him in a wrestling ring. If it's not for WWE, then so be it. I think he could do amazing things with Ring of Honor because, he started. Those guys, really launched him. He put on 5-star Meltzer matches with Ring of Honor. I think he would do really, really well back there. He would also do, I'm sure he would do well in TNA, but I don't think I want to see him in TNA.
No, God knows what they're trying to do to him or whatever.
They're putting him up against broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah. Although broken Matt Hardy, he's fair play to him. He's sort of doing something different.
Well, that's the thing. We watched. I haven't seen Delete or Decay yet.
Right.
I saw the final deletion, and just it was nonsense, and it didn't quite float my boat, my dilapidated boat. But a lot of the fans liked it, and whether you liked it or you didn't like it, everyone's talking about it. So when so much of the wrestling business is just competing for attention, then do what you have to.
Yeah, it was different, and I mean I won't give too much away about Delete or Decay. I do think it was maybe they shouldn't have tried it again so soon, because I think still people are talking about final deletion. They should have left it for a bit. But all I will say to you is Jeff Hardy locks up with a kangaroo.
Okay, I'll watch it. That makes. I would say that makes sense, but because I know he started doing things with animals, right?
He's got his own personal zoo.
He's got a menagerie of what? Does he have a giraffe with the spirit of George Washington?
He does, yes.
Yeah.
And he has spot monkeys.
Oh, I love that. That's really great. The Matt Hardy stuff is really, to be honest, it's breaking down all my defenses. I thought it was. Because I was brought into the whole Matt Hardy thing when they did that really weird segment when he had, someone had a baby. They threw a baby at Jeff Hardy, and then they went through a coffee table.
That was a really painful bump.
Yeah,
that was not a gimmicked table.
No, not at all. And I saw that and I thought that's really bad. I thought oh my God, TNA just they completely run out of money. And then I saw Final Deletion, and then during that I was like, oh okay, this is what they're trying to do. Fair enough. The asylum version of wrestling, but I will watch Jeff Hardy beat up a kangaroo. Yeah, I will watch that. Yeah, or a kangaroo beat up Jeff Hardy, even better.
Do you think Vince McMahon? Yeah, do you think he would like broken Matt Hardy, or do you think because it's been done elsewhere and kind of got a bit of steam?
Well, they've already ripped it off once. with the New Day Bray Wyatt
Yes,
compound
true.
segment. Can't believe they did that. It's like trying to make the upmarket version of parody wrestling. Like just do it, but without any of the fun. It's
And
really weird.
And it was only like a week later. It was,
If that, yeah, like a week, 2 weeks, something like that, yeah. And it's just so obvious what they were doing. Because I think, yeah, from what I'm told by the people, like we get down to WCPW, like Vince and his team watch everything. People like to say that I think Vince McMahon is like out of touch and doesn't keep up with modern wrestling. He does. Like if he doesn't personally watch it, his team watch everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we've seen with Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles coming across. They didn't give AJ Styles a chance when he came from TNA, but he went to New Japan, did what he did, and came across. I mean, it's interesting for you guys, I guess, with AJ Styles, because I remember watching the interview you did with him a week or two before, and then I watched last week the interview you did at SummerSlam with him, and he does claim that he didn't know anything about it at that time. Yeah,
well, I think you've got to, haven't you, to maintain, had to maintain his integrity.
Yeah, when I watched it, I did the original interview. I didn't believe him. I doubt you did either. But.
No, it's just part of the game, isn't it? Really. We wanted to ask because we couldn't interview him and not ask. But we were more than willing for him to say, "I've no idea," and it was like, right, okay, fair enough. But we had to ask.
Yeah.
He's incredible. He's rapidly becoming my favorite guy in WWE right now.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for him. I mean, I've watched a bit of TNA, a few matches there. I think everyone talks about the triple threat with AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Yes, he did really well there, but I think he's proved a lot of people wrong in WWE with how well he's done, but it's always that sort of, I think he might have said it to you himself, that the cream rises to the top,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we are in an age of like fans where like if you're not good enough, the fans will just reject you. The fans have been given enough power over the last few years that they feel like they are arbiters of who gets to be in their main event. And WWE have sort of tried to fight that with Roman Reigns. And I understand, like, I'm not sure the fans should be able to decide exactly how the story goes every step of the way.
Yeah.
But, you can't tell the fans who to cheer for. You just can't.
Yeah, it's interesting. We had a debate / a rant on one of our previous episodes about the "This is awesome and you deserve it" chants.
Yeah.
They're becoming a bit too much. Like I said that I felt like I could get in the ring with Jinder Mahal and sneeze, and I would get a "This is awesome" chant. Just. It happens a bit too often. I think the first time it happened was Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, and that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I think there has been a few matches since, obviously. But I think you don't have to do as much now to get it.
No. Tell you what's really weird. Going back and watching old pay-per-views before like the ECW and before the chanting thing started really catching on. Like if you go back and watch old WrestleManias, like WrestleMania 3, there's no chanting. It's just crowd noise. It's really weird to hear. Yeah, like fans have been very much put in the driver's seat, and they want to feel more and more like they're part of the show, which I think is a double-edged sword, because like when you have a hot crowd, it makes the show so much better. But when you have a crowd who kind of want to put themselves in the narrative, like we were at the Raw after WrestleMania this year, at the Barclays Center, not the Barclays Center, the American Airlines, and there was a beach ball in the crowd. And this was during Baron Corbin's first match on the main roster. And there was a beach ball being done around, and people were chanting for the beach ball. They were like, "We want beach ball, we want beach balls, awesome." And one of the guys who worked for the arena took the beach ball and deflated it and kept it, and like, you sold out all the while. And that, it's funny, but Baron Corbin is doing his first match on WWE Raw, and I just think like that's too much. You got to find the right balance when you're a crowd member. You got to don't find a way of amplifying the show that you're watching, but don't make the show about you.
Yeah.
It's it's hard to say that to a fan, because you pay your money, you get to say whatever the hell you want. But and we get it sometimes in WCPW, where our British fans are some of the rowdiest fans in existence, and they will chant sex offender at Prince Amin. They chanted a word which I can't repeat at me last time, which makes it very difficult to get, our PG rating for WCPW. But it is what it is, and yeah, I think it's an interesting debate to have. The right, Fight Forever, the first time you saw that with Nakamura and Zayn. Amazing chant, first time you'd heard it.
Yep.
Now you get Fight Forever, like you say, you can get Fight Forever with what? Enzo and Cass and another, Jericho and KO or something like that. You have to pick your chance and pick your spots.
I think so, because like you said, the Raw after WrestleMania, it's become a staple. I was, one of my regrets, I did not go to the Raw after WrestleMania 29, which was Dolph Ziggler cashing in. I know.
Oh no!
I was in a restaurant with my heavily pregnant wife, which of course was lovely. And
you gotta say that.
Yeah. But disclaimer. But I wish I was back over the river.
Yeah. Oh my God. Best. That was the Raw that's one of the main Raws that started off that that was Fandango Raw. That was Dolph Ziggler cash-in, Ryback turning heel on John Cena. Everything went right, apart from that Sheamus Randy Orton match. But you missed a really good Raw. I just want to remind you once again that being with your family cost you.
Yeah, damn you, family. But going back to WCPW, you said after WrestleMania, they said, right, we're going to do this. Did you ever dream when they said that? You thought, okay, who we're going to get? Is it going? This is not me knocking British wrestlers, because I we like to promote it, but obviously they're not as well heard of at the moment.
No, exactly.
Did you think, we're not going to get Kurt Angle, we're not going to get Cody Rhodes, Damien Sandow, Alberto Del Rio? Again, another sort of what the hell? Yeah.
Well, I thought what a lot of people thought when we announced WCPW, which is, it's going to be Adam versus Adam wrestling. So that filled me with absolute fear. But no, the thing is, truth is, we're very much a WWE-centric channel. That's what a lot of our fans like. So I was very apprehensive about bringing in British talent. Not we have some of the best wrestlers in the world over here. But they don't have the exposure that, say, WWE
Yeah,
does.
that's the point I was making, not doubting their ability.
No, not at all. And truth is, I spent months just researching WWE stuff. I didn't know who a lot of the guys that we were getting in, and so I had to research all of those guys. But once, now that I've been doing this for a couple of months, I feel like I've got to know the British scene so much better, and some of the guys we're getting are the absolute cream of the UK talent. It's such a healthy scene. You've got us, ICW, of course, Progress, Rev Pro, this Southside. You've got so many, of course, NGW, who have been working with us to help provide our set and our screens, and they help us with our tech. We're hugely indebted to those guys. If you can check out NGW, definitely check it out. But it feels like we've got to know the community of British wrestling, and you bring in imported guys from the States, just to bump up the ticket sales. But if we're proud of nothing else in WCPW, is that we are bringing guys like Martin Kirby to the attention of the UK fans. Guys like El Ligero, guys like Big Damo, Rampage. We're so happy that these guys are catching on and their profiles are raising. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think you pat yourselves on the back, do a Barry Horowitz. You've helped. You have helped raise that profile, like you said, and bring more eyes, because you do have a worldwide audience. You're bringing more eyeballs onto the British scene, and I think we saw that with the Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500. I think there's 30 plus European wrestlers in that list, the highest they've ever had. It's great to see the amount of British names that are in there.
Yeah, I honestly feel especially with the Cruiserweight Classic that just happened, wrestling has never felt more global than it does now. And I have to say, watching the CWC. Huge props to WWE. Like, I think one of the things they get accused of a lot is trying to keep everything in-house. You know, you come in from a different promotion, your history is completely wiped out, you are a WWE guy, and they try and, you know, cut every mention of other promotions. But with CWC, they were mentioning New Japan, CMLL, like the guys coming in from Hong Kong, Zack Sabre Jr., they had qualifying matches in Progress, Rev Pro, like all the stuff that you saw created, like, it's a global community of wrestling now. And it's as much as I hate this soundbite, there's like almost never been a better time to be a wrestling fan. I hate saying that, but like it's true, because like with New Japan World, you know, they've now changed that site to be in English, which is good. With Ring of Honor on demand, you know, ICW, and ourselves, you know, you can watch so much wrestling now, and you are able to find the wrestling that really suits you. It's incredible how much there is out there, and we're just a very, very small part of that tapestry, really. But we are very, very proud to be part of it.
Yeah, and because I have to admit, I was probably like you, really, when I started this podcast. I wanted to promote and showcase British wrestling and UK wrestling because I think it deserves it. But I wanted to do that, but then, yeah, even I at that point didn't realise how big it is. You know, the amount of shows. We always spend time on each podcast talking about the shows that are happening over the next week, and not just the ones with the star names on. I also want to talk about the really, really, you know, community centre shows and that sort of thing. I mean, I went to a live one in Birmingham, Kamikaze Pro, headlined by Pete Dunne and Ryan Smile, and they had Clement Pachu, Tristan Archer from the CWC on it. I did an interview with him, and you never know who you're going to see at these events and who could end up being a big star.
That's the thing. And then like these indie guys that you see in like the CWC, they are all over the world. Like, they never stop. And same with our guys as well. Like, El Ligero is one of the hardest working wrestlers I've ever seen. Like, he's done over 200 matches this year, which is mental. Like, I think we got his 201st match. We didn't get his 200th. Which we're gutted about. But yeah, these guys work so hard, getting all over the country and all over the world. And that, like you say, you can turn up to any show and you don't know who you're gonna see. Like, some of our guys work the camp circuit.
Yes, I was at with the family. I was at a Haven holiday site in Wales a couple of weeks ago, and there was even wrestling there.
Yeah, that's the thing, and like, it's such a different style. And it's the great thing about the indie circuit is you get to know so many different styles depending on where you're working. Like, some places will be slightly more hardcore, some places will be the exact opposite of that. Like the Butlins, you'll be wrestling slower than you ever have and pulling all the facial expressions. He's behind me. Everything.
There was one of the she's not a redcoat at Haven, but whatever they are. They had her on a mic outside the ring going, "Let's go, Tiger." It was like, shut up. Just like I mean, it was cheesy, but it's still a showcase, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And well, like, it's always storytelling, and you've got to change how you tell a story depending on your audience.
Yeah, I think Daniel Bryan in his book, there's a section of his book where he says he wrestled at Butlins and it actually helped him with his character.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, everything you do has to be more exaggerated. Like, you have to get getting a family to care, getting a child to care about what you're doing. Like, sure, you know, you're the American Dragon, you go to an indie promotion, fans will be wetting themselves with love for you. But you see a family who's never heard of you, you've got to make them care. You completely changes like your entire game plan.
Yeah, and you obviously understand character. I mean, how are you enjoying Leader of BX as a heel in WhatCulture Pro Wrestling?
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it. Being a heel is so much fun. And I do think it's easier to be a heel than a babyface. Heel, you get to, basically, if you say something and the crowd don't react, just keep saying it louder, and eventually you'll annoy them enough that they give you a reaction. Whereas being a babyface and getting a genuine, like, we like you response is really hard. So absolutely fair play to Pacitti, Jack, those guys who are the baby faces, because it's not easy. I get to come out, and I've been fortunate enough to, like, Big Damo's been in the program with all the top guys we brought in, so I've been fortunate enough to share promo time with Aaron Stevens, Alberto El Patron, and those guys have given me advice on my promo style as well. It's been absolutely invaluable to work with those guys. But yeah, being a heel is like it's fun like nothing else. You get to come out and be smarmy. You get to cheat. You get to throw powder. It's the most fun. I want to be heel forever, but you know, things may have to change. You never know. But like right now, I'm enjoying being a heel.
Yeah. Have you ever got in and done a match yourself or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. We are working on, like, who knows what the future will bring, but I feel if I was to ever step into a WCPW ring, it would be in like under severe protest, because that was the thing one of the things we were worried about. Simon Miller, one of the guys from the channel, is going through wrestling training at the moment. And
yes,
absolutely, it takes you to the edge of what you think you can do physically, and we have the utmost respect for like being part of a promotion. It's made me respect the wrestlers even more than I did.
Yeah.
Just what they do, how precise they have to be. It's incredible. Like I have taken moves from guys, and just the precision with which they're able to hit you, so that it makes the noise and you get contact, but you don't feel it. Like how they're able to precisely land each strike. It's such a craft.
Yeah.
For me, with my clumsy limbs and my complete lack of any muscle definition, I am made of twigglers. If I step into a ring, it will be, it won't be much of a match. Let's say that. But I've gotten physically involved in the past at a very, very limited basis. That's my role, and I'm not an athlete, nowhere near the level of these guys.
No, I stepped into the ring once. At
Really?
a previous radio station, we set up this sort of thing where these guys from a local show challenged me. Lord Graham Thomas was his name, and I ended up having a match with him. And it was before one of their shows, so it was in front of about 5 people. But they were chanting Herminator, and so I enjoyed that really geekily. Beat him with a Stone Cold Stunner in 2 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've taken a stunner. Isn't it the most fun thing to take?
Well, I gave the stunner. That was the thing.
You gave the stunner?
Yeah, they let me win because I said
They put you over.
Yeah. I said to them, look, you're the wrestlers. You should kick my ass. Like you should beat. But they were like, no. This is your thing. You know, you win. Yeah. Well, it was a 2-minute classic. But body slams running. Set up a 2-minute match, and like you said about the respect, I have the utmost respect because I trained and was running the ropes and doing the moves for a couple of hours training. Then we did the match. I was aching the next day.
Yeah, my neck.
You don't understand.
My neck's still stiff from doing some stuff at WCPW last time, just because every impact hurts, every single one. I took on the first major special we did, I took just a clothesline, and that was just like a simple back bump, landed on my back. Ached for days.
Yeah, Lord Graham Thomas, genuinely, when we were practicing the match, he didn't, but when we were doing the match for real and it was being filmed, he slapped me harder than I have ever been slapped in my life.
Yeah, I've taken chops.
Yeah.
My God. Because coming soon to the channel actually is, you can find it on YouTube as well. Adam Pacitti did a documentary called Pinfall, and during that he received some wrestling training, and you see him get a couple of chops, and it's the most fun thing to see. He gets he's knocked off his feet with the force of the chops, and also he then wrestled a rumble. He came out as AJ Hazard. That was his ring name, wearing big gold pants which he'd bought from a fetish shop because wrestling trunks are too expensive. Check that out if you can. But we both of us, from the limited experience we've had, utter respect.
Yeah, and what is it like for you to be in the ring with, you mentioned earlier the famous names, the Aaron Stevens, the Alberto Del Patron, the Eric Bischoff, and also interviewing some guys. I watched your interview that you did with Brock Lesnar, and I don't know if I was reading too much into it, but I looked at your eye just as you were about to ask the first question, and just as you were about to ask the first question, it looked like you were in your mind was going, bloody hell, I'm about to ask a question to Brock Lesnar. He could kick my ass.
Yeah, just like trying to see in my peripheral vision like where the exits are, looking at this shaved gorilla. He's a amazing athlete, one of my favorite wrestling stars. The most intimidating man I've ever stood in front of.
It looked like it, like I said, in your eye, but I would be exactly the same.
Yeah, I was terrified. And I chose to open with a joke. That was smart, wasn't it? I was really expecting Paul Heyman to jump in there. He didn't. He just left it to die.
You got a good interview out of him in the end, because I saw again, like, because obviously the difficult thing as well with that is he's not just speaking to you. He's probably done lots of interviews at that point, so it's even harder. You know, I've interviewed thousands of people with my job, and it is hard in that situation to get stuff out of people. And I think early on he was sort of giving you short answers, but then you got a really good interview out of him, which is a skill. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but it's, you know.
Thank you, man. It was really tricky, not least because we didn't actually know Brock Lesnar was turning up.
Right.
Like we got to we didn't know who we were preparing for. We basically went to the event. Very kind of generously, we were taken out there by 2K, so by 2K17, as is my contractual obligation. We have actually played it and it's good, but we were taken out there and we were basically taken to this event, this kickoff event, and we didn't know who was going to be there. So we didn't know who to prepare questions for. We thought, well, maybe like guys like Kevin Owens might be there or The Miz. So we had like a couple of things in there. And then we got there and they handed us the contact sheet of who was coming. And it was Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura. We're all turning up and like, oh, Jesus Christ. So, we hastily tried to cobble together questions for Brock Lesnar in my mind. And then I was one of the first people being interviewed by him, and then I got pushed in front of him. Paul Heyman was there, looking up at him. Just feeling something cold running down my leg. I'm glad the interview did as well as it did, because I'm not sure if I'm getting another one with him. Let's say that.
I mean, I don't know how many people you've interviewed by now, but I mean, who's your favourite so far? Is that one of them?
Styles is my favourite guy to interview so far.
He seems like a really nice guy.
He is really nice. I wish we got to interview Kevin Owens. Adam Pacitti got to interview The New Day, which I really want to do. Like, that seems like such a fun interview. Brock Lesnar was a unique experience. Wouldn't call it fun, but AJ Styles was genuinely fun to talk to, because by both times we talked to him, he was he gave us proper in-depth answers. If they felt genuine, he remembered us from when we interviewed him the first time. We got to, and it generally just felt like chatting to someone who wanted to appear like they were being your friend. Which is great. I utmost respect for AJ Styles. He's definitely been my favorite interview. I really enjoyed the very first one I did was the very first time I met a proper big professional wrestler, which was Rey Mysterio.
Right.
Yeah. And he was really, really, really sound as well.
He was our number one cruiserweight of all time in a little poll that we did on our last podcast.
Without a doubt. Definitely. Because we're doing
not a difficult choice.
No, not really. We're doing a top 100 wrestlers.
I filled that in.
Hey,
the top
awesome.
10. It gave me a headache for about an hour.
It's
hard.
It is hard. I rewrote mine twice because we were backstage at WCPW doing it. So all the guys were doing them as well, and everyone was passing each other's round. And I realized, oh my god, I can't have my one be passed around and not have it be perfect.
Hornswoggle in the top 10. Oh no.
Oh yeah, exactly. He said, up until recently, he was the last cruiserweight champion.
Know. But have you noticed they've wiped him out of history on WWE.com? They've started the lineage from TJ Perkins.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
It's a shame that obviously the WCW lineage of that belt now is gone, but it's going to be better from here, I think.
Yes.
But looking at the people that the wrestlers really respected, you saw Rey Mysterio appeared a lot. So did Eddie Guerrero,
Yeah.
obviously. Bret Hart, Dynamite Kid. Chris Benoit featured on a lot of wrestlers because you know, like, these are the guys that really inspire.
Yeah.
These are the absolute workhorses. Like Steve Austin appeared and The Rock appeared on a couple, but by far and away, like, it was the workers
Yeah.
that everyone really put on their lists.
Yeah, as I say, it gave me a headache, so I can't fully remember who I put in the top 10 in the end. I know that Shawn Michaels was number 1, again, not really a shock, and Kurt Angle number 2.
Shawn Michaels and Kurt for me, yeah.
There you go.
1 and number 2. Can't remember who number 3 was. I know AJ Styles is in there. John Cena's in there.
Yeah.
Just because he is definitely
Yeah.
one of the top 10. I like if you're looking at the scene now, especially Eddie Guerrero,
Yeah.
Bret Hart.
Yep.
I can't remember the rest.
You've listed the ones that are in mine. I don't know what the order is, but I put Hulk Hogan in there only because I was kind of looking at it. It's difficult how people will read it in a different way. Like you said, the
Yeah.
wrestlers, they'll pick the workers, but I was like, okay, top 10. You've got to think about also the ones who had the impact on the industry. That's how I look.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's so many different facets to what makes a successful wrestler. Like, you have the guys who are, you know, the technical magicians, but like, there are loads of wrestlers. If you ask them who's the best wrestler of all time, they say who drew the most: Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan, and The Rock. Those guys are the best wrestlers because wrestling, you know, the title of wrestler encompasses so many different factors. And a big one of those is how much money are you drawing, how much exposure are you bringing to your promotion. A lot of people view that as the ultimate sign of success in wrestling, not the moves, but like how much you are firing up the crowd.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes sense. Like, you know, and for that, it is difficult to argue that Hulk Hogan isn't one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You know, he was wrestling in the 80s.
The beauty of it is subjective, and
Yeah, exactly. Like, I sort of missed the Hulk Hogan train. You know, the first time I really saw him was at WrestleMania 18. You know, like when the NWO came back, and I'm like, who are these guys? And then I obviously looked it up and found, like, obviously Hulk Hogan, you know, the star of Mr. Nanny and Suburban Commando, and I was like, oh wow, okay, he's a big deal. And but yeah, I missed that stuff. So going back and watching stuff like WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 6 after the fact, it's like I can sense that this is a great occasion, but like the matches aren't great.
No.
But it's not about that. It's about that circus, that kind of, that, you know, like the strong men. It meant something else back then. The feats, you know, like people believed it as a superhuman feat that he could slam Andre the Giant, and it's a completely different style of theatre to the kind of, you know, this is awesome, the stuff that gets this is awesome chance today.
Yeah.
You know, all the false finishes, all the incredible acrobatics that go on.
Yeah, and like you said, I wanted to go back to the British wrestling scene very quickly. And it's like what I said before, you never know who you're going to see. I remember, these are not British wrestlers, but I said on our last podcast in 2004, I think, I saw CM Punk versus Samoa Joe in Coventry.
Oh my God, what a match. How long did that go, just out of interest?
It was the best match on the card. I can't remember exactly how long it was, but it was...
They have a habit of putting on hour-long ones, that's the thing.
Yeah, but it... yeah, obviously that was awesome to see, looking back especially. But in terms of the British wrestlers, I mean, in WCPW now, is there anyone who sticks out to you who you think will or could make the step up to WWE? Because I guess that, you know, you'll lose them, like any promotion. You'll lose them, but you want to see them do well.
Yeah, it's our job, really, as kind of a you know, lower down promotion. It's our job to basically get them in the position where they are seen by someone bigger, and I think there's so much talent on our books that could go on. I feel bad singling out.
Yeah, I was going to say I apologise in advance for putting you in that spot.
But you know, like, there are guys that I feel like I'm almost ready to go there now. I honestly think Joe Hendry will end up in WWE. He's too charismatic not to. So I think I want to see the absolute best for Martin Kirby, El Ligero. You know, like, we've had Will Ospreay down. Like, it can only be a matter of time before he snaps up.
That triple threat, Will Ospreay, Noam Dar, Laguerre on the couple of shows. That is genuinely, again, not just saying it because you're here, but genuinely that is one of my favourite matches of the year.
No compliment to me. That's a compliment to the guys.
Yeah.
Those. Every time we get those guys down, it felt like wow, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to be able to book these guys. Noam Dar going straight to Raw as part of the cruiserweight division, unbelievable for a guy so young, but he's so talented. And we can only hope that these guys who are on our roster follow suit.
Get some plugs in. Your next show's coming up.
Of course, yeah. We've got our first iPPV coming up. In live attendance-wise, it's sold out. You can't get tickets for it, but it's on October 6th. You'll be able to buy that online, which is it's called Refuse to Lose. It's got Kurt Angle versus Joe Hendry. It's got the WCPW Championship being defended. I'm not sure if this will go out after the most recent taping, so I can't tell you who he's defending it against. But I can also tell you we've got Cody Rhodes versus Doug Williams. JR is going to be there. Bret Hart is going to be there. It's going to be a phenomenal night. We've also got October 7th, the night after, in the same venue, the Northumbria Students' Union Domain is the name of the venue. We got that on October 7th as well. And October 8th, we are travelling down to Greater Manchester, Altrincham, Silverblades Arena, where we're going to have Cody Rhodes versus Kurt Angle.
What an average match that is.
Oh, I mean, yeah, yawn. So I think it's going to be, I honestly feel like we've got a great calendar coming up. So I urge fans to go to wc.pw to get tickets because, it's already sold out for Refuse to Lose, and the tickets are running thin for the other two shows. So get them while they're hot.
And just finally, what does the future hold for Adam Blompier and WhatCulture.com and WCPW? Where do you want to go?
I don't know. That's the thing. The last year has been. I used to be a comedian. I guess I still sort of see myself as a comedian. I was in a sketch group called the Beta Males, and I did solo stand-up comedy at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I still sort of see myself in that regard and as a writer as well. But this in the last year has become everything. Now I've moved to Newcastle for this, and so I don't know what it kind of holds. I want WCPW to get bigger and better. I want WhatCulture to draw in more and more subscribers and people watching the product. I want to be able to have the opportunity to work with bigger, better talent and stuff. But you never know what the future's going to bring. So honestly, we are like a lot of kind of wrestling promotions, we're planning only a couple of months ahead because you just never know. But yeah, we just want to keep on putting on a good show and hopefully drawing more and more eyes to wrestling.
Well, I'd say it's been an absolute pleasure meeting up with you and just chatting all sorts about wrestling. A WhatCulture.com special on the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast. Adam, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
This is Rob Van Dam. Yeah, that's right. Your favorite wrestler telling you that, you know what? You're listening to the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast, in case you didn't know.
We have on the line the man who will be taking on Kurt Angle at WCPW's first ever iPPV Refuse to Lose. That's on the 6th of October. It's going to be the American hero versus the local hero, Joe Hendry. Joe, thank you for joining us on the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast.
No problem at all. Thank you very much for having me on.
As I say, WCPW's first iPay-per-view, and I spoke to Adam Blompier about the rise of WhatCulture Pro Wrestling. This is a massive step in the relatively short history.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about what this company has managed to achieve in such a short space of time, and for me personally, looking at the situation, the opportunity that I've been granted here is literally to step in the ring with the greatest in-ring competitor of all time, in my opinion, and the match is going to be called by two of the greatest commentators of all time. So it's a high-pressure situation, but it's an amazing opportunity. And this, to me, in my mind, is the biggest. This is going to be the biggest moment in my life. It's going to be a huge night for independent wrestling, And it's just, if you think about the names that we've got on the card as well, I mean, it is absolutely stacked. And again, this is going to be available all over the world on iPPV. It's an exciting time, and it's just there's really no limit to how far the company can go. It's just growing at an extraordinary rate.
Yeah, you've said there about Kurt Angle. I mean, how are you feeling about the preparations and getting ready to face him? Like you say, this is going to be the biggest match of your career.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. A fan actually asked me a few years ago if you could face anyone in the ring, who would it be? And I answered Kurt Angle. And that's when I first spoke to Kurt Angle. And it's one of these situations that, it was the match that I wanted. And I was, I had plans to I wanted to wrestle him, and that was a huge goal of mine. I've probably got about 5 big goals that I want to achieve in this business, and that's at the top of the list. I didn't think I'd get to do something like this early on in my career, but I embrace that opportunity. And as far as the preparations go, and I feel that there's the physical and the mental preparation. For me as well, there's obviously a huge expectation on what entrance I'm going to be doing on the night. So again, due to the grandeur of the opponent I'm facing, the entrance will have to be stepped up as well. So I'm going to be bringing it entrance-wise. In terms of the mental preparation, again, this is a pressure that I enjoy and I welcome. And I feel like I'm thriving in these high-pressure situations. And also with the physical preparation, I've been doing a lot of weightlifting, but now I'm doing a lot of time in the amateur wrestling room. And also I'm doing a lot of functional training as well. I've been flipping tires and throwing hammers and heavy bags and things like that. And a lot of it's been documented by WhatCulture, which the fans will get to see very soon as well. So it's an exciting time.
Because that's the thing. There's been a lot of speculation about Kurt Angle's health and WWE being skeptical about picking him back up again. But he can still go. Let's make no mistake about it. He can still go.
Well, I mean, the man won an Olympic gold medal, and I hate to repeat it, but it's true. He won it with a broken neck. And in the fight business, the professional wrestling business, it's a mental game, and Kurt Angle is mentally as strong as anyone that's ever stepped in that ring. So regardless of what you've just said and the viewpoints about anything to do with that, make no mistake about it, Kurt is the best in the world. He's the best that ever stepped in the ring, and that's the caliber of competition that I want to test myself against. He is technique-wise, he's an Olympic gold medalist. He's the best ever. But I have been training for explosive strength, and I believe that if I get him up for that freak of nature fallaway slam, when I hit that's it. It's going to be over. I feel that he has obviously the experience advantage. He's unbelievably technical, but I'm young and I'm strong. And when I get my hands on him and I hit that slam, that's my key to victory.
Now, you said about Kurt Angle, I mean, you're the local hero. He's the American hero. Was he one of your heroes growing up, or who else?
Absolutely. I mean, my heroes are, my heroes are basically The Rock, Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Chris Jericho, and, throw in Chael Sonnen and a few others. But Kurt is right at the top of the list. And Kurt was actually on the very first professional wrestling show that I went to see. It was a SmackDown back in, I think it might be in 2003. It was the first ever live show that I attended, and Kurt was on that show. So this is how I can't put into words how much this opportunity means to me. But at the same time, if I sit here and everyone knows how much I respect Kurt, everyone respects Kurt, but now is not the time for that. I'm going into battle with this person, and I need to put the respect element to the side. I need to beat this person down. I need to defeat my hero to basically become the professional wrestler that I know that I can become. So I just need to see him as a target, not as this legendary figure. I need to just see him as a person and a man and someone that can be defeated. So I do have all the respect in the world for Kurt, but I'm not going to be showing it in that ring.
Future, I guess, hold for Joe Hendry, because Adam Blampied, we've just heard from him. He says you're too charismatic not to go all the way to WWE.
Well, I think everyone that gets into this business, if they're very serious about making it to the top, obviously the WWE is a huge goal. And for me, my goal, my big goal, is to become the WWE champion. And I wholeheartedly believe that I will achieve that through hard work and determination and through working as hard as I possibly can. But I'm not going to achieve that by looking too far into the future. And right now, I'm faced with an opportunity that even people in WWE won't get to do. They won't get to step in the ring with Kurt Angle. So whilst, ambitions for the WWE title are at the forefront of everything that I do and everything that I'm working towards, make no mistake about it, this is the big one. This is a match against Kurt Angle, and I'm sorry, but anyone in WWE would take that match. So this is how big this match is to me. This is one of the biggest matches in independent wrestling. This is going to be on iPPV, seen all over the world, and this is my opportunity to upset a legend. This is my opportunity to show the professional wrestler that I can be, because everyone knows me for the entrances and the charisma and the promos and things like that, but because of that, people overlook what I can do in the ring. People overlook the training that I do. People overlook the athlete that I am. And if I beat Kurt Angle, when I pin his shoulders to the mat, if I can pin the greatest ever, then that puts me well on my way to establishing myself as the professional wrestler that I know that I can be.
And just finally, as you say, it is on iPPV. It's available to watch all around the world on the 6th of October, Refuse to Lose. So, again, it's eyeballs on British wrestling. The door is wide open for the success of British wrestling, and who knows where it can go.
That's the thing. If you'd have said to me, this was the growth curve of what was going to happen to WCPW, you can't possibly anticipate that. And who can say where it's going to go? All I can say is that you need to get tickets to all the WCPW shows that you can, because as you've seen with this one sold out instantly. It's impossible to get tickets. I can't even get my family in there to see me. That's how tough these tickets are to get. And this company is just so hot right now. It's growing. It's an exciting time for British wrestling, like you say, and it's going to be on iPPV all over the world. So you can get it on Fight TV, or you can get it on the newly launched WhatCulture Extra as well. But what I would say is you do not want to miss this, because no matter what happens, this is going to be a moment. And not just in my career, but it's going to be special for British wrestling. This is just, if you think about the names that are appearing for WhatCulture right now: Alberto Del Rio, Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, Jim Ross, Jim Cornette, Suzuki. The list goes on. It's unbelievable. So this is something that needs to be seen. If you're a supporter of British wrestling, then sign up and watch.
Yeah, certainly. The WCPW Championship is going to be defended. Joseph Connors against Martin Kirby. The Internet Championship, El Ligero, loving his work in WCPW as well. Alberto El Patron against him and Travis Banks. Street Fight, Abin Blompier against Rampage. That's going to be interesting as well. But most importantly for you, as you say yourself, it's the American hero against the local hero, Kurt Angle versus Joe Hendry. And Joe, it's been a pleasure speaking to you on the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast, and we wish you well, not only for that match, but for the future as well.
Thank you so much for having me. And, it means a lot to me for having me on. I hope to see you at the show. And, yeah, please follow it. Make sure you follow WCPW on Twitter and on Facebook and things like that, and make sure you get that pay-per-view. You're not going to want to miss this. So if you think about all the surprises that you've seen in WCPW, all the announcements, just you never know what they're going to have in store. So make sure you get the event. Watch it if you can. And thanks very much for having me.
Episode 4 of the Buzzards Wrestling Podcast is all about the cruiserweights.
Oh, counters upon counters upon counters. Discus clothesline by Pachu.
You can hear an exclusive interview with WWE Cruiserweight Classic competitor Clement Pachu.
Triple H came and do a little speech, and he told us that he was really happy that we were picked for that.
And we reveal our favourite cruiserweight wrestler of all time.
Yes, great choice. Oh, I didn't think about him.
You can listen now on Audio Boom or download and subscribe on iTunes.